What's up, everyone? Vu of Envu Films back with another video, and I'm going to tell you about how you can make the most money being a videographer, how you can price your video work to make the biggest bag possible. And I'm going to tell you right now, it has nothing to do with your actual skill, your talent, or your ability to deliver excellent video work, but it has everything to do with your mouth, with your willingness to BS. In this world, there is a thing called marketing. And marketing is what is going to get you to make the most money. Before you even pick up a camera, you're going to have to convince someone to hire you to film whatever it is that they want to film. And whether or not you have a portfolio or not, say you do have portfolio, you're going to have to market that portfolio somehow, which means you're going to have to pay money for some branding. You're going to have to pay money for a good website designer. You're going to have to make that website look really legit. So that client that comes to your website is going to be, wow, this is really professional, before they even click play on your videos. And then when you talk to these clients, you're going to have to be articulate. You're going to have to sound smart. You're going to have to sound like you know what you talk about. And you also have to be convincing when you tell them that you are the greatest videographer on the planet and you're the best one for the job. Unfortunately, like everything in life, videography is no different. It is very relatable to sports in terms of how much an individual gets paid and how much skill they actually have. And by that, let's talk about, I don't know, football. There's guys like Patrick Mahomes, who obviously is talented, skilled. He gets paid a lot of money, probably the highest paid quarterback in the league. But he actually deserves that because clearly he is winning a lot of Super Bowls. Football is a team sport, and it does matter who he has surrounding him, the coach he has, etc. But I think regardless, we could all say that he deserves getting paid a lot of money. Then there's guys like Deshaun Watson. Regardless about his off the field antics or whatever, people walking around acting like they don't like happy endings for $29.99. So leave the dude alone with that regard, okay? But he gets paid a lot of money to be a quarterback, but he's not living up to the hype. And that's the difference. Talk about hype, right? The same way athletes hype themselves up, market themselves to seem like they're the greatest. That's why a lot of like wide receivers and cornerbacks, they always go up on there and they're like a loud mouth and all that stuff. And they like present themselves to get like the media attention. The media attention builds up hype and it creates this illusion they're actually a great athlete. The reality is there's not. There's rare occasions where the athlete is good at marketing themselves and hyping themselves up, and they're actually great at the actual work itself, which is playing on the field. That is Deion Sanders. That is Floyd Mayweather of boxing. Deion Sanders, primetime marketer, great, but he was also a Hall of Famer on the field, no questions about it. Hate Floyd Mayweather, if you will. Dude is a masterful promoter, just as he is masterful in the boxing ring. You could say, oh, he's running around, he's ducking people. Dude, the whole point of boxing is to hit more times than you get hit. He rarely gets clean hits on him. That's why he doesn't have concussions. That's why he doesn't have any other like injury issues. Guy's defense is immaculate, and he punches very accurately, timely, and when he does get some good hits in, his punches hold a lot of weight. Then there's guys like Manny Pacquiao. I'm not hating on Manny Pacquiao. My wife is from the Philippines. I watched all of Manny Pacquiao's fights. Those Filipinos celebrated Manny Pacquiao fights more than they celebrate Christmas, and that's saying something. And I'm telling you, I thought he was a good fighter. He was getting paid a lot of money, but I also noticed there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of hype behind him, that whole Filipino hype train. because I was watching his fights. I'm like, yo, this guy gets sloppy sometimes. He get knocked out. Lo and behold, he gets a nice hit in the face by Marquez. Great timing, and he was on the ground. You never see something happen like that to Floyd Mayweather. He's too calculated for that. But boxing aside, you see what I'm saying? It's like sometimes marketing, the presentation, how someone is hyped up does not always equate to actual skill. It does not always equate to the actual good product delivered on the field. It does not always equate to the high quality product all the time. And I think more often than not, clients and customers get duped by the presentation, get duped by the illusion of a person's ability and skills based on how they talk, how good their website looks, whatever. Look, I don't pay for my website design. I don't. I just use templates or whatever off of my host. And no, it's not Squarespace. I do not use Squarespace. I'm not sponsored by Squarespace. I'm not gonna lie. If they paid me, maybe I'll say something nice. But no, I'm not sponsored by Squarespace at all. I don't use that. But real talk, there are couples. You're gonna hear me talk a lot about wedding videography, but it completely applies to every type of videography. Okay, commercial, cinema, corporate, whatever you want to do. There's couples who contact me and talk to me and stuff, want to hire me before they even watched any of my films, because they were referred by their planner or their photographer, and the photographer and the planner said that I do good work, and they just kind of trust it. I always tell them, please, when you get the chance, watch my films, and let me know which ones you liked and stuff like that, because I want them to watch to make sure that the way I do things works with them. I want to make sure that my style or lack of style is what they're looking for. You know, I don't want people to blindly hire me for something. And I can't imagine if I had better branding and better website and all that stuff, how much more I could charge and how many more inquiries I could get that lands purely because of my presentation. And look, I'm not the greatest person to look for in terms of advice or the greatest example of, you know, how to get paid the most money doing your video work, because I don't do the bullshit. You know, I don't go out there and overly market myself. Even you look at my YouTube videos, you know, it's very bland. It's very lackluster sometimes in terms of presentation. I just go right into it. It's just a shot. I'm not trying to necessarily prove my abilities of being a videographer on screen. As long as my shot doesn't look horrendous, I'm good. I'm just trying to deliver information. And you YouTube watchers, you fall for all of like the little hype tricks all the time with YouTube. People with their lower third animations, people with their intros and stuff like that. You know, you watch that and you automatically think credibility, and you're most likely to subscribe. You're most likely to watch through, but you don't pay attention. You don't carefully pay attention to the information that you're getting from the person you're watching. You're just looking at all these graphics and all these animations, and you're thinking, this is a legit YouTuber right here. He's gonna give me the legit information. You really have to break down what the person is telling you, because next thing you know, they're selling you on some LUTs. Next thing you know, you're buying that LUT. Next thing you know, you're applying the LUT to your video. Next thing you know, you're looking at your video, it looks like absolute unadulterated dumpster trash. But that person's YouTube video had animations on it, and so they look legit. No, man, like, it is, I don't know if it's human nature. I don't know if it's something that is, you know, put into our minds as kids going through public school, whatever it is, but we love to get sold stuff. We love to get presented stuff, regardless of how good the quality is behind the presentation. You know, people value unboxing videos. People value the unboxing experience of products they buy. Why? You're buying the product. You're not buying the box. If I knew that I had to pay an extra $50 because of the unboxing experience, I would gladly get shipped that product in a paper bag or something like that. So long as the paper bag doesn't damage the product. I'm saying, like, I'd rather save money and not deal with any of the extra marketing stuff. My wedding clients ask me all the time, like, hey, Lou, what do we get in the deliverable, I tell them straight up, you get a link and you can download it. When I first started, I was trying to create all these fancy USB boxes and stuff, deliver them like this fancy thing. I hated doing that stuff. I didn't want to spend time doing this stuff. I didn't want to try to design a box and all that stuff and go to the USPS and mail it out and stuff like that. I tell them straight up, hey, look, if I had to do that, I tell my clients completely honestly, I said, if I had to send you these extra USBs and all that stuff, I will have to charge you for my time to do it. I had to charge you for the box and all that stuff. I just send you the file, the actual video that you want to watch. And if you want to take that video and save it to some special USB drive, you could do that. You could find, you could find your own USB box and you could design it the way you want and put it away somewhere for safekeeping. But if I'm going to do that for you, I'm going to have to charge you a lot of money because I have to do something I don't feel like doing. So there is the added cost of that. I don't feel like doing it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to charge a good amount of money for it because I need to have those, I need to make sure that earnings matches my inconvenience of having to do this. Pricing yourself, there's obvious things, okay? Travel time, travel cost in terms of the travel fee, the travel expenses. You always got to charge your travel time. You always got to charge your travel expenses. Travel time is your actual time spent on the road. And then the expenses is like gas, mileage in your car, airfare, whatever it is you're paying that is related to your travel. And then you have your equipment. Those things are kind of obvious, that's up to you. You could charge rental for every little bit of equipment that you are bringing to the shoot. Camera, $100 an hour, $100 a day. Tripod, $50 a day. Gimbal, $50 a day. Whatever it is that you want to do, how you want to charge that, you just have to make sure that you're not being stupid. You go to Lens Rentals and look that up, see what they're charging per day for those things, and just charge that, to bring your own gear. The hardest thing to charge clients is the value of your time filming and editing, just generally the actual work that is not travel or gear related, which is what you know how to do, your skills with your hands. That's the hardest thing to figure out. And you don't want to undercharge. To be honest, there's a ton of videographers who undercharge, and there's a good handful of videographers who clearly overcharge. But everyone has their value for their stuff. Everyone wants to do things the way they want to do it. I'm not against it. As long as you're able to pay your bills, provide for your family, and live your life good and comfortably, I'm all for it. I don't really care. But if we're talking about if you want to just make the maximum amount of money for your work, you have to be the hype man. You have to be the marketer. You don't have to be the most talented, the most skilled videographer. I think I just showed you that in the illustration of the boxers and like the football players and all that stuff. You just need to be able to hype yourself up and convince these people, these clients, that you are worth this amount of money, even though, regardless if you are actually worth it or not. Again, it's hard to measure things like videography skill, yet alone how good you are as a videographer is hard to measure. A lot of times people who watch different films, they have subjective, opinions on, how things are shot, how things are lit. Again, if you compare videography to like boxing, it's already hard enough to determine like how strong a person's punch is, yet alone trying to like determine like how good a person is at being a videographer. Because you could say, oh, that guy looks like he has big muscles, he bench presses a lot, he's probably the strongest puncher. It's not really the case, because maybe he doesn't punch well, he doesn't put his hips into it, maybe he doesn't put his whole body into his punches. But then maybe he puts his body into his punches, but maybe he's too slow and that punch would take forever to land, or that person has to swing back too much and then it's too predictable. People could dodge that punch so easily, Being the strongest puncher is not just having power, it is having accuracy, speed, being good at not being telegraphed, meaning the punch is not like shown too much, like you're not like pulling back to punch, but you get a really good punch, strong punch without actually showing that you're about to punch. So many nuances goes into being the most strongest puncher in reality, and it's the same thing as video. So many things, you know. How good is your composition? How good is your lighting? How good is your color grading? How good is your ability to get your gear ready, get the shot really quickly without planning? How good are you at adapting? Are you a fat piece of trash? Can you walk up that hill and still have energy to film? Or are you going to walk up that hill and you're breathing heavy and your camera's all shaky and you're going to hear your breath breathing in your camera? So many little nuanced things comes into play when it comes to being good at anything. Being a wide receiver, people can argue about Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, who's the greatest receiver of all time. Depends. Who's the opponent? You know, is it man-to-man coverage? Is it zone? Is it the Super Bowl? So many little things. Who's the quarterback throwing it to them? You know, so many little things coming into play. And a lot of times, as the person in the craft, like a videographer, it's so easy for us to notice when someone's video is trash. You could look at that like, oh, yo, that video is some straight garbage. And then you could look at and then you could compare two very high quality videos, and you could argue which one is better than the other. But I'm sure some other videographers can have a subjective opinion of which one is better than the other. So there's so much nuance with those things, and the average person, which is the clients that you film for, have no idea. They probably can't even tell the difference between this trash video and a really good video sometimes. But they can surely be sold on either one of those, and they can be surely deceived, whatever you want to call it, marketed, hyped up on paying a lot of money for whatever. If you want to look up an example of something really bad, like really bad wedding video for a really high-end client, and who knows how much this person was paid to film this wedding, but you look at Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's wedding video, and I'll tell you this, I don't always smell what The Rock is cooking, but I can tell you his wedding videographer was cooking some straight shit. Period. And look, if you're that videographer, I apologize for clowning on you. I'm sure you probably do great other videos, music videos, whatever, but that wedding video was horrific. And honestly, it's probably because you are not a wedding videographer. Maybe you film music videos or corporate and stuff like that. And, this is going to sound like I am joning on non-wedding videographer guys. But the reality is this, back to punching, right? Back to that punching power example. Most videographers who aren't wedding and event videographers, if you want to compare, you want to talk about punching power, their punching power is kind of like measuring their punching power when they're punching a punching bag. The bag sits there and you're just leveling it. Nothing else matters other than them just swinging and hitting that bag as hard as it can, getting all these shots. And no pun intended, all of the shots are hit. All of the shots land, and it is just hammering away at that bag. Wedding and event videographers aren't punching in the gym in the punching bag. It's like they're punching in an actual fight. There's an opponent who is dodging their punches. There's an opponent who is also trying to hit them. So they're going to be swinging, trying to get hard punches in. They're not going to always land the punches clean. It's going to kind of like graze off the person's face. They're not going to be able to get their hips into it all the time. Sometimes they got to like dodge and then hit. And those punches aren't going to land as hard all the time. So a lot of things come into play. Accuracy, speed, power, the whole 9 yards. And then obviously you put that wedding videographer into an environment such as studio, such as a set where everything's planned out. You got all these people with lighting. It's like putting him in front of a boxing bag, and he's able to just level that boxing bag. That's not to say that's not to say these other videographers can't go film a wedding. This is merely an example of how much harder it is to get good, clean shots as an event wedding videographer as it is a corporate studio cinema movie videographer. Again, this video is longer than it has to be, and again, it's just all my opinion, really. After doing this job, being a videographer for pretty much a decade now, and my answer to how to get paid more to do video work is simply marketing and being sociable and networking. That is how you're going to get paid more for your video work, because everyone on this planet loves to buy into marketing and hype. Look at your YouTube viewing and YouTube subscribing tendencies. That one YouTuber with that fancy ass intro, and then he has all these lower thirds and graphics all over his video, you're gonna love that. And then you're like, whoa, this guy completely sold me on buying those LUTs. Why did I do that? It's because he had all these graphics, he had the intro and all that stuff on his YouTube video. And all this time, and then there's a one untrustworthy videographer who just sits in front of the camera, talking a bunch of shit. He has no graphics, no lower third animations, no B-rolls. He's not so enthusiastic. He talks too slow. His videos are like 30 minutes long for no freaking reason. But tell me, look at my track record, go back 6, 7, 8 years ago, and you tell me where I lied to you in a video. I said Canon color science is a bunch of bullshit years ago. Who talks about Canon color science now? I told you autofocus is going to be the future a long time ago. All these Panasonic D-bags talking about manual focus, talking about autofocus is unprofessional. Fast forward to today, one of my most popular videos right now is Panasonic S2 video, me clowning on its rolling shutter, and all these Panasonic D-bags on there talking about autofocus. Shut the hell up. 5 years ago, you were all about manual focusing because autofocus is unprofessional. Shut the hell up. Anyways, until next time, lighten up.
Hey Vu, I'm thinking about getting a camera for video. Should I get Canon or Sony?
Bobby, since you asked me, I would always go for Sony. I've been shooting with Sony since 2014. They have all the specs that you need these days. They have all the lens options.
That Sony, it's rat. If you want to be the best, if you want to be professional, if you want to be award-winning, you need to buy Canon.
Vu said that Sony was good. What's so much better about Canon?
Canon is the best because it have the best color shine.
What is this color science that he's talking about?
Bro, if I hear this Canon color science BS again, I'm probably gonna blow up like a Chinese spy balloon.
Let me show you. Oh my god.
Dude, it looks like you just bought a cinematic LUT for $60 off some YouTuber.
No man, it only $29.99.